Hey, eighth graders, Mr. Slaby here. I'm speaking for all of your teachers, so I'm the one who's got the mic. It is, it's either Thursday or Friday, depending on when you watch this. If it is Thursday, then cohort B, you are at home working on your final map for the giver, and I'm going to reference that in a little bit. If you are cohort A, then you are working on what I'm about to show you. So you really, if you're cohort A, you're in class with me. If you're not, then you can also watch this video. So team, the whole point of what we're doing today is this. There are three possible endings really to the giver, all right? At this point, there's three. First off, Jonas and Gabe made it to the new community, right? Boom, they did it. They got there. The first memory was the giver's sneaky way of setting him up to leave, right? So when the giver gave him the memory of snow, that was all maybe part of the plan, right? He was setting up Jonas to be the difference maker. All the memories flood back to the community. Okay, that's one possible ending. So he makes it to the new community. All is good. Everyone lives. Memories go. That's number one. Number two, Jonas and Gabe died. Ugh. And he's experiencing the life flashes before his eyes phenomenon. Maybe you've heard about this, where people say when they've had a near-death experience that they see their life flash before their eyes. They see memories, or they even hear music. Guess what? He remembered about the sled, and he hears music. Maybe that's it. He dies. That's death. That's what's happening to him. Very possible. Again, in scenario number two, all the memories go back to the community. Then there's a third one. What if he's not even at the hill, or he didn't get up it? Because you remember, he's tired, he's starving, he's weak. I mean, what if he's hallucinating? What if there's no hill at all and he's like lying somewhere in the snow, or even better yet, the desert, right? Remember right before he got to the snow, it was really dry and it was like really, arid. Maybe that's where he is. Maybe he never made it. So he's in this state. He's just lying there. Not dead yet, but he's sort of having a dream about the whole thing. Possible, isn't it? So this is what we want you to do. So today's challenge, and you will turn it in on this assignment, is to write the 24th chapter. Now, you don't have to write a 10-page paper. This is not what this is. And we do want you to follow the rules. You're eighth graders. You should know capitalization. You should, I'm not worried about spelling, but you shouldn't spell most words, right? And you should use periods and commas. That's what you should do. That's what's expected of an average eighth grader. But the 24th chapter should clarify what happens to Jonas and Gabe next after the last pages of the book. Perspective should match. So you should be in third person. If you read the book, you're in third person. Your 24th chapter should be in third person. That's they, them, he, him. Okay? Your chapter should have a beginning, a middle, and an end, even if it's short, right? At eighth grade in Valley Middle, you guys know how to tell stories. You've lived stories. You watch stories. You got to have that. So, beginning, middle, and end. It doesn't have to be long, but it can't be that long. It's got to be longer than that. Your chapter should make sense, so you can't have Chuck Norris riding on a unicorn with machine guns blazing. No, it's not. I mean, we want you to have fun, but this is a task. You're being asked to produce this, so you can't just throw craziness in there. All right, how to do this? You got to remember, after the last words you got to remember this. Jonas, no matter which ending you take, which one choose, which one of these you think is real, Jonas is experiencing something new. So if you really want to write this, I'd spend a lot of time on his trying to understand what's going on. Think about what he's feeling, what thoughts are spinning through his head. Your 24th chapter, the reason why we're having you do this is to tell us how you interpret the ending. If you write some garbage that has nothing to do with the book, but you just take this prompt and that's all you write, you might be able to fool us, but chances are not. So there's got to be some element that you read this book and here's your version of what happens next. There's no expectation of length, but it should look like a complete chapter. If this is all you write, that ain't going to cut it. So you're just not going to get points for that. So that's the expectations for the 24th chapter. That's the assignment you turn in due Friday. All right, for those of you that are still working on your map, I just want to and by the way, this is what I'm talking about. So this is the last words of the book. Behind him, across vast distances of space and time from the place he had left, he had thought he heard music too. but perhaps it was only an echo. See, we don't know. And then chapter 4 begins. That's where you begin. I want to point this out. This is a phenomenal map. Whoever did this did a phenomenal job, but it is not a final map. Just so everyone knows, you're not turning in the last draft of your map. I am not interested in that. Mr. Cush, Mrs. Erickson, Mr. Bettini, not interested in just your final draft, like your final rough draft. You got to think about scale here, people. So like this, as great as this map is, and they did it on Google Slides, this speaker right here should not be the same. It should not be bigger than the one building, the auditorium, that houses everyone at one time. The landing field shouldn't only be slightly larger than a speaker. These things do not make sense. And the sledding hill right here, that can't be there. They'd see it. They don't know what hills are. So like this is an awesome rough draft. Love this. Cannot say enough about the person who put this together. But there's some things you got to think about. Scale. Things should be relative in size, right? I mean, right now, if you think about it, all of these things are about the same. The Central Plaza, everyone in the community has to fit in there. That means everyone in the community can virtually fit in a speaker. That doesn't make sense. Color. You got to remember, how does color show up in this book? I'm not telling you any more than that. How could you represent that in your map? And shape. Things should look like they might look. Okay, this is a speaker. Does a speaker look like that? It's just a big box or a big rectangle? Are all these buildings just squares? Got to think about that. And drawing. I'm going to say that drawing might be better to really show details. This person did it on Google Slides. I think a drawing as their final map is going to be infinitely more impressive. And frankly, inside versus outside the community. There's really not a border laid out here, but there is an outside. So those are things to think about. Let's see you put this into real practice. So let's see your 24th chapter. And those of you working on your map, let's take it to the next level. Come on.